Fort Laramie National Historic Site. Well, we got a gatehouse here. It's got a green light on it. Does that mean it's open, or does that mean we go past it? We're going to find out in just a moment. This is actually bigger than I thought it would be. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. Welcome. It's a fee-free park. Anybody in the gatehouse? Nope. The Rustic Hotel, no second-rate affair. Huh. Alright, well. Boy, that's some thick gravel. So we got a little travel trailer there. A Class C. A van. It's okay, cat.
Wake up with the sun in our eyes. Sally forth, no need for goodbyes. Journey calls, let's roll the dice. Every mile a new surprise.
Well, with the angle of the sun, this is pretty hard to see, but this is the National Pony Express 100th anniversary memorial. So it was established 1860, and I guess only ran for 1 year, 1861. To 1960, 1961. Interesting. Well, that's a little bit better. 120 celebrated riders rode 650,000 miles with only one rider killed by Indians, one schedule not completed, and one mail lost. That's pretty amazing. Yeah, so basically April 1860 to October 1861. Fort Laramie was a major post on the Pony Express route between St. Joseph, Missouri and Sacramento, California. Cool. The Transcontinental Telegraph. A military post on the Oregon Trail, 1849 to 1890. Monument was erected by the state of Wyoming and a few interested residents in 1913. Okie dokie. Looks like there's going to be a lot of walking here at Fort Laramie. I'm actually quite surprised at how much is still here. I wasn't expecting buildings spread out this far. The whitewashed one down there looks to be in really good condition. I wonder if they've restored it or something. We got to go catch up with Barb.
Preservation sites by the Park Service. Each one telling its own particular story, so we're really appreciative of you guys coming out here today. Here at Fort Laramie, we like to tell 4 different main stories. Talk about the United States soldiers that lived here in the 1800s and their families, over 25 native tribes that would have lived here and interacted with all the people moving through here. You have fur trappers and fur traders that built the first fort here. Then lastly, subject of my program are the overland trails, the immigrants, over 500,000 that are going to make their way through here at Fort Laramie between 1840 and the mid 1860s. So with focusing on the overland trails, there's 3 main destinations people are traveling to going through Fort Laramie: Oregon, California, and Utah on the Mormon Trail. Again, about 500,000 people. So it's a lot of people between 1840 in about 1869. Now, does anyone remember what technology advancement kind of knocks out the trails in the 1860s?
Train.
Train, absolutely, yeah. Instead of taking about 6 months to go out west, takes you 7 days. So, pretty nice. Going back to overland trails, question is, how did they start? Why do people taking them? And why did Fort Laramie play a big role in it? Well, how did they get started is that in the early 1800s, a big rise of the fur trappers and fur traders come out west, searching for two main animals. Those animals are the beavers and the buffalo. Beavers, really popular hats, especially in Europe in the time, in the early 1800s. And to put in perspective how hunted these animals were, before European contact in the United States, there's about 400 million beavers estimated. By 1900, there's about 400,000. So that's a significant number of beavers hunted in the time period. With these fur trappers, they're going to move out west either by hiking out here, taking a boat, especially along the Mississippi or Mississippi and Missouri River, and then lastly taking horses. And as they're doing this, they're going to certain sections of the west where beavers are well populated, gathering the furs and bringing them back out east. And over these couple decades of men, it's exclusively men at this period, going back and forth are mapping out the territory, and also with their movement creating these kind of natural trails or roads heading out west. Now here at Fort Laramie, the first fort that's built here is called Fort William in 1834, and it's built by fur trappers called the Sublettes. William Sublette is the main guy that funds the fort, and they build it right near the property because the Laramie River, which wraps around the park, intersects with the North Platte River about 2 miles from here, and that intersection creates a great spot for beaver habitat and for different communication lines utilizing the river. And so that's why Fort Laramie is first created. It's due to the fur trapping and fur trading. Now, as we jump ahead a few years, the first people that actually head out west that aren't fur trappers are missionaries, such as the Whitmans, who go to Washington State to try to convert American Indians to Christianity at the time. That's in 1836. So that is essentially the first European women that actually head out west. Along with that, though, the reason why people start taking the trails is that in 1837, a big event happens in the United States called the Panic of 1837. Anyone ever heard of this event before? Well, Panic of 1837, it's one of our lesser known economic depressions in the United States. About every 20 to 30 years, the United States has one of these on average. The worst one in history is the Great Depression, late 1920s, early 1930s. Most recent one, 2008 recession. It's kind of on the lesser end. Still bad, but not quite as bad as some others. Panic of 1837, right in the middle. So a pretty average one. But it lasts 10 years. That's a long time. And during this time period, people are losing their houses, jobs, abilities to find food for their families. They're looking for new opportunity. And that shows up in the territory called Oregon, which is present-day Washington, Oregon, Idaho area. And at this point in time, the United States and Great Britain kind of control this territory. So as people are looking for new opportunity, the United States government is trying to populate this area to make it part of the United States. And so the people will start heading out there because you can get hundreds of acres for free out there. You don't have to pay 1 cent. You just have to get there. So many of these people, including their dogs that would come along, would take our prairie schooner, which is standing right over there. These families would kind of pull together the last $1,000 or so. Because that prairie schooner is going to cost you about $400. You're going to get 4 to 8 oxen on average, another $100 or so. And then your travel is going to be about 6 months long. So you need food to last you 6 months and other supplies. So it's going to total to about $1,000. And you're going to leave from 3 different destination points in the United States. You're going to leave from Independence, Missouri, St. Joseph, Missouri, or Omaha, Nebraska on average. So real quick, I'm going to map out this trail here. So you're going to leave in early April, right when the grass turns green, essentially, because your oxen need food to eat all the way along. And if you leave too early before the grass is green, your oxen are going to starve. But if you leave too late, then you're going to get caught in a snowstorm. So kind of this, wiggle room here. So you're going to leave one of these 3 cities. Towns. We're going to pick Independence, Missouri for this demonstration. And you're going to follow the Kansas River for about 40 miles. Then you're going to follow the Little Blue River for another 20 miles until you get to the Platte River in present-day Nebraska. You're going to follow the Platte River through the entire state of Nebraska and parts of Wyoming, present day. Then you're going to follow 3 other rivers in present-day Wyoming, the Green River, Grass River, and Sweetwater River. Then you're going to follow the Snake River through Idaho. And then you're going to follow the Columbia River through present-day Oregon. So you're always following a river, essentially. And that's because as you follow the river, your oxen always have water, and you always have water. So it makes sense to follow the rivers. Now let's map out the geography real quick. As you leave Kansas, Nebraska area, pretty flat, some rolling hills, but for the most part, very flat. Then you get to Wyoming, especially central and western Wyoming. You get elevations going up to about 13,000 feet. So tall mountains, all throughout Idaho, about that height. And then you get back to Oregon, and it flattens out once again. So it's kind of flat up and back to flat again. And so with that in mind, thinking our natural features, where do we think the most dangerous part of our journey might be over the 6 months?
Mountains.
Mountains. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too, right? That's a lot of equipment to lug up a mountain. Pretty dangerous, might trip and fall. But actually the most dangerous part
Desert, I would say.
Oh,
is going to be our first month of our journey. Mountains are going to pose lots of hazards too. But let's think about, as we contemplate this, the first month of our journey and last month are going to be the most dangerous. So, as we're thinking about that, 500,000 people going to head out west. 15 to 25,000, they're not going to make it, sadly. Out of that group of people, you're going to have 2% are going to pass away from conflict with American Indians. About 400 people. Happens, pretty small percentage though overall. Next is we have lots of accidents on the trail. As we look at our prairie schooner once again, we have some big wheels there that are covered in iron. And it doesn't make a really nice ride to stay inside. So many people would walk their entire way to Oregon. And if you're clumsy like me, sometimes you trip and fall right in front of a wheel. And that happens on several occasions. Also with this bumpy ride, firearms weren't exactly locked up, and many of them are accidentally fired, which hit people. And then crossing rivers and terrain, you also have accidents of drownings, getting hit by the cart, and other accidents. So that's our 10% of all casualties along the way. 90% is going to be disease, something you can't see. And it really hits hard in Nebraska for a couple reasons. We're going to focus on the Platte River real quick. So describing the Platte River in the 1850s, it's a mile wide, but 3 to 60 inches deep. So that's a really shallow river, but really wide. Known to have really mucky, sandy bottoms they can get caught in. And then if you're looking at the river, they described it as a brown, murky river. So they knew they didn't want to drink that water because it looked so dirty and brown. So they started drinking water from creeks and streams that flowed into the river, essentially. But as we talk about how many people are traveling, in 1843, you have about 1,000 people heading out west. By 1849, you have over 10,000 people leaving out west. By the early 1850s, it gets up to the 40,000 people leaving. So thousands of people are leaving, and they're leaving from 1 to 3 destinations, essentially. And those 3 destinations are gonna meet right up at Fort Kearney, Nebraska. And as you have 40,000 people all together, taking water from the exact same area, cleaning all their stuff in the same area, you're going to have a disease called cholera pop up. Now, cholera is a bacterial disease. It affects your digestive tract and gives you a really high fever. And there's 2 reasons why it's really dangerous, otherwise than just those simple facts. First of all, you can feel good in the morning, but you can be dead by dinner time. It's a really quick acting disease. Secondly, it disproportionately affects men compared to women and children in this time period. And that's because with our prairie schooner over here, when you go over or go through a river, at this point, our father figure of the group is going to have to get out and pull the equipment through this Platte River that's really murky and slippery and gets a lot of things stuck in. As he pulls it through, he's overexposing himself to water compared to women and children. So since he's in the water, better chance he digests this water, giving a higher chance of getting cholera. So cholera has a 30 to 40% death rate, and in Nebraska solely, you could see up to 1 grave per mile traveling along the road. So that's about 15 to 20 a day on average. And so cholera is this extremely dangerous disease. Now, as people arrived to Fort Laramie, in 1849, the United States government buys the fort here, that was Fort William or Fort John, and starts building these buildings here. And the thought is to help protect against American Indian conflict. That's the thought. In reality, Fort Laramie becomes a hospital along the trail. Fort Laramie is at the second most dangerous point along the trail when it comes to cholera. And so this place is a place where people can get resupplied, recuperate in several of these buildings. And then also too, this is your place of no return. So if you show up here too sick to continue your 4 months more of your journey, you can still head back the way you came. But keep in mind, the dangers you just faced that are the worst statistically on the trail is what you'd have to face on the way back. Now, another thing that doesn't really help Fort Laramie as much is the sutler here. Sutler is the general store, and he is the owner, and he's going to try to sell you things for very high prices. 1 can of peaches at this time period in New York City is about 10 cents, give or take a few cents here or there. Here at Fort Laramie, it's about $1.25.
I haven't seen the sign yet, but I assume that this is the enlisted man's mess, not the officer's mess.
No,
It
the
doesn't look
officers
nearly
have
fancy.
napkins and,
Yeah, it doesn't look nearly fancy enough for the officer's mess.
right.
Looks pretty comfortable though. And then we got upstairs, I bet that's going to be
I'm
barracks.
just so loving this. Oh, I'm sorry.
You don't have to whisper. I can always edit if I want to. And I don't have to. What were you saying, Barb?
That
You
I'm
are.
really happy to be here. This is my thing.
It's your jam.
Yes.
Yeah. So we're having a great time. And I don't know if I've mentioned actually where we are yet or not. I think I did, but we are at Fort Laramie. Kid's taking us upstairs, which I really should have a hand on the railing, but oh well. Oh yeah, this is going to be the barracks. I mean, just think about the close proximity you're in to other people.
3 hots and a cot. That's all they promise.
Yeah. Wow, that's really something. This is the sutler's store, and parts of this building, starting over here on the left where the adobe portion is, was built in 1849 and it housed the post-sutler's store. In 1852, the right-hand section was added and was used at various times as the sutler's office, the post office, and a game room. The photograph here shows an 1877 view. The rear portion was built in 1883. The enlisted men's bar and a public saloon were on the right, the officers' club on the left. All right, cool. I want to take a look inside. Let's go take a look.
I'm going to go inside on the way back.
Okay, so this says post office. And you can see the boxes and so forth. And then here's the actual store. It's getting very hot. When I'm talking about it, I'm going to show what I'm talking about. So if you want to go otherwise, of course, that's fine. Come. But we might be able to cut across the back. Of course, there's all that over there too. Right.
I mean, people had to go across that trail and back, and so.
Go alongside, Kit. You don't want to walk up here, do you? You want to walk up here? All right. All right, so here's the game room. the bar. And you know, in the Rangers talk, he was talking about the sutler price gouging everybody, but in reality, was he? I mean, when you think about the fact that all of basically all the hard goods, the canned goods, all that kind of stuff, they had to get them out here. So the ranger said that, you know, where a can of peaches might cost 10 cents in New York, it was $1.25 here, and that's like the equivalent of $30 today. But, you know, they did have to transport it all. Now, the thing that is a little disconcerting is that the sutler would sell hard goods like stoves and pianos and ridiculous things that the settlers could not carry across the plains and up the mountains. But they'd buy them and then they'd abandon them along the trail. And in some cases, apparently the sutler would go back and try and recover them again. There's capitalism at its finest. I'm guessing this is officers' quarters. That's my guess. And it's got a breezeway.
Like maybe an officer's home, because
Yeah.
they've got a lot of feminine things in here, and officers have their wives here, so it looks more like, if it was probably the general's.
Yeah, probably the lead guy,
Yeah.
whoever was in charge of the fort,
Yeah,
I'm guessing, and his family.
yeah. And then of course they had an upstairs,
Of course they had an upstairs.
which in this heat with a nice corset should have been.
A lot of fun. I don't have the corset, I'm already suffering from the heat though. Kit's gonna show us where to go, aren't you, Kit? This must be the kids' rooms. Chamber pot.
Quilt, cute quilt. That's a nice sized room for one kid.
Yeah, assuming that's what it is. This one has a double bed. That could be the parents. No, this is the parents, as there's a sewing room, sewing machine and stove and washstand and all that stuff. All right, one hand for the banister going down, guys. See you down there. So this is the building that they call Bedlam, which served as a hospital, and I think it had some other purposes as well. But I'm really curious, why are hospitals so often called Bedlam? Do you have any idea, Barb?
No?
Yeah.
I know Bedlam, means crazy house.
Uh-huh.
Maybe people just were delirious or something.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to look it up. And if I forget to look it up, if you know what the answer is, put it in the comments down below. Or take a guess. Whatever makes you happy. Let's go take a look. Oh yeah, it's getting pretty hot in the sun. Getting pretty hot in the sun. Old Bedlam.
Oh, look how people have signed the walls.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
Designed and built by the U.S. Army Engineer Department. Constructed in Greek Revival style in 1849 for an estimated cost of $36,000. Two-story structure was originally built for a bachelor officer's quarters with living, bedroom, kitchen, and dining area, but was also used for offices. Now, according to the ranger, they also ended up using this for recuperation for the cholera-ridden people that showed up from the trails. Okay, come.
I just need to sit for a bit. That next building is a little ways around.
So we've got more kitchen area in here and dining on this side. So this is the other side of the same building, and it's worth noting these big wide hallways that's why they're called breezeways, because they let the breeze through, and an office, And a stairwell.
Thinking upstairs is probably maybe the beds where they housed.
Yeah, I'm guessing that this is probably where they kept the 6 people.
Yeah.
But I'm too hot to walk up any more steps, I think.
Yeah, well, these two, so I'm sure that's where they must have
Yeah.
housed the sick people. Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and then look at these ruins. For some reason, I'm thinking like Parthenon. Of course, a lot of the architecture is kind of Greek revival style here, so maybe that's not too far off.
Officers' quarters.
Yeah, so these officers' quarters were constructed in 1881. Previous adobe structures that were built in 1855 were left standing as rear wings. So this is what they looked like then in 1885. Between 1881 and 1890, it was successively occupied by the families of Colonel Merritt, Gibbon, and Miriam, and the only one equipped with inside plumbing with a full upstairs and water piped into the kitchen. The other 2 buildings were customarily occupied by lieutenants or their captains and their families.